Oklahoma City's police chief Ron Basie talking for the first time about the mass arrest of more than 150 people.
A live look
They're on
now.
a city street, and there are people standing in the middle, and they are practicing what I consider to be extremely reckless and dangerous vehicle tactics around people. And at the end of it, if you pay attention, there's the sound of what appears to be either real or replicated gunshots. And then the person in the video replicates that with a hand signal and with his mouth. And intent, I don't know, but at the end of the day, this has been advertised as a family event, a family fun event that was safe for everyone. Well, in our city, throughout the course of the last year, we've had too many incidents that resulted in tragedy. Coming on the heels of a Halloween party where I think 12 people were shot. We had weekends in Bricktown that I've had to stand and answer questions about because of shootings, and we've had to heavily enforce a curfew violation in Bricktown because we know when we have young adults unsupervised, there were spikes in violence. And that wasn't done to be punitive, that was done to keep them and other people safe. We're coming off the heels of a shooting in Midtown at the Collective, where someone got angry and pointed a gun and innocent people were hit. I don't think in this city it's sensitive, safe, or smart to advertise any event with gunshots in any way, shape, or form. And nor would I anticipate any parent condoning their children being at such an event. This is not a judgment on my part. It's just a hope that we as a community have the same feeling about keeping our children safe. Our core values spell I care. And we do. I definitely care. It is the police department that knocks on the door at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning to tell a parent that they no longer have a child, they have a memory. It is the police department that sees young children carted off in handcuffs on their way to prison for the rest of their life or for a lengthy sentence for decisions they made with handguns. I watched the video, and if you pay attention, they're on a public street, and those videos were taken right before the arrival of officers. So there's been statements that none of these things happen on public streets, it was on private property. I can tell you that we were alerted to this event mainly because there was community concern about this type of activity happening in that area. The city has a Vision Zero plan to reduce fatality collisions to zero. Because what we've seen over the years is a spike in serious injury and fatality collisions. And you know it because you cover our traffic enforcement operations all over the city to curtail and change driving behavior to keep people safe, more importantly, keep them alive. So when we see an event that endangers the safety of the public, we feel it's our responsibility to act. When I get asked how to prevent these violent episodes that occur in our city, the shootings, the stabbings, it's hard to be ahead of the curve, but when you have information or knowledge that something is going to happen, we feel a responsibility to act. So as for we target a specific group of people, that is absolutely false. We looked at an event that we thought was unsafe. I've stood up in city council and I've stood up in front of cameras and I've said the police department, it takes a village to raise a child, and the police department is part of that village. We have a robust youth outreach effort. I mean, we just opened the gym at the Schilling for Senator, Skyline Gym with Muscles and Mentors. We have a chess program, a youth business, youth leadership. Even kids that are justice involved in municipal court go through our juvenile intervention program. We mentor them. We care about the children of our community. On the night of this incident, and these are preliminary numbers, I believe there were 2 stolen cars recovered, 8 guns seized, and 3 pounds of illegal narcotics. But this was advertised as a family, safe, and fun event for children. I'm willing to bet that if any parent knew in advance that their children would be in close proximity to vehicles that are driving recklessly, firearms, drugs, and stolen vehicles, they would not have let their children go to this event. But the problem is all too often, families aren't aware of the danger that exists until something happens. Too many times as a police department, we have to tell family things they didn't know about their children. They didn't know that they had some type of gang involvement. They didn't know that they have access to weapons. When we say we're part of the village, we mean we're part of the village. But the most important part of that village are the parents and the guardians of these young people. By taking the actions that we took, it got parents involved, and they were made aware of the environment their children were in. This is not meant to be punitive. We want parents to know that summer is coming in, that we are serious about the safety of our children, the efforts we make in parts of town to keep them safe. We want them to know that everything that their children is doing poses, not everything, but some of the things that they do poses a significant threat, and we want them to be made aware. We want parents to closely monitor activity of their young adults and children, help them with the right decision making. And at the end of the day, I can say that there were probably people like me when I was young who was in a place that didn't know what was going on to the extent of, with no really bad intentions, just good kids, as people have said. And I don't disagree with that at all, because I was one of those. But all too often, isn't that who we lose with stray bullets, or those good kids who should have never been there, who had a bright future? As I reflect on this incident, I had the opportunity to speak with several people throughout the year, and we've been constantly talking, whether it's members of churches, school principals, whether it's people in nonprofit organizations. How do we get ahead of the violent curve that we see with our young people? How do we pull them aside? And we're all pitching in, and we're doing our best. Interestingly enough, I spoke with DA Bahena yesterday, and there's been, a lot of concern about the charges that were placed. DA Bahena and I are on the same page, and we discussed this yesterday and came to the same conclusion. The young adults who were charged with unlawful assembly and have no other criminal activity associated with this event, those are all going to be referred to municipal charges. There are other people who may have some other charges, and that's still pending. This is an ongoing investigation. It involved a lot of people, and we're working through it. I want to say probably one last thing to you. We keep hearing a harmless event. If you pull up these events, street takeovers, we've done these before. And each time we've done it, we've encountered dangerous individuals. We have. We've encountered other types of crimes afoot. It only takes one disagreement, one spark, one hit car for bullets to fly. It does. We've seen that. But more importantly, if you pull up these videos, you've probably seen it takes one person losing control of a car, and all of those young people that you saw standing on the curb are in jeopardy. It's not safe. It's not safe. We want more for Oklahoma City. We want more for our people. We want more for our kids, especially. They're our future. So thank you for your time today. Does anyone have anything that they would like to ask?
You mentioned the narcotics found, the guns, stolen vehicles. Are charges working on that kind of thing too, or are you guys going to bring them out anytime or give them to?
Yes, we're active. That's an ongoing investigation. It's involved a lot of people, a pretty big operation. And so, yes, we are going to, as more information becomes available, we'll be happy to share that.
Were you guys, sorry, this is totally off. I thought I heard two different people. Talk about, you mentioned kind of hearing from the neighborhood about this. Is this something you knew about in advance that this party was going to happen, or did you get calls on it?
So again, this is an ongoing investigation, and there's only so much I can divulge, but we were alerted to the fact that this incident could occur. And so we were monitoring and trying to make sure that we were prepared in case it did happen.
And so since it was a large group of people, why weren't these people ticketed, instead of just being taken to jail?
That's a great question, and I'm sure that a lot of people in the city are asking this question. But it goes back to what I said earlier. If I was a young man and I was someplace I shouldn't have been, or didn't know was a bad place, and the police showed up and I got released, my parents would have never found out about it. I want the parents in Oklahoma City to be informed. I want them to know that their kids are at these events, and I want them to be able to step in moving forward to help them with their decision making. And I don't think the characterization that I've heard that we think they're bad kids, I don't think that at all. I don't. but I want them to have futures, and I don't want that to be cut short. And I want the parents to, all too often, again, parents are unaware of the dangers that exist for their children. And if you just let them go, there's a great opportunity missed that parents don't become involved from that point moving forward. We're just starting the summer, and there are going to be a lot of events, a lot of great things in the city, and I just want all of us to do our due diligence to make sure that we're monitoring the activities of our children, our young adults, and helping them make healthy choices.
And so a bunch of people said that they were zip-tied for about,
All right, that's Oklahoma City Police Chief Ron Basie speaking really for the first time since the arrest of 154 people at this gathering that, as the chief put it, was promoted as a family-friendly event, and as the chief also said, was anything but. Part of something that he said was either was a street takeover or had the potential to become a street takeover. I think as we talk and we review what was said right now, Abby, we obviously came to this late. They had been showing video from social media. We're not sure if that video is from the day of, if it involved the actual people who were at that event. There are still some unknowns when we're talking about this.
So if you're just now joining us, there has been community concern and outrage about the fact that 154 people were arrested that night. This was Saturday, a car meet outside of Rocket Wraps in southeast Oklahoma City. It was to celebrate the owner's birthday. Many of those were minors. Some are now being placed on an ICE hold. So there has been some questioning and some concern over what exactly happened, why so many people were detained. For the first time, we are now hearing from the chief kind of explaining and defending his department's stance as to why that took place.